Businesses in every sector are increasingly reliant on applications to handle everything from back-end operations to the delivery of new products, services, and customer experiences. That's why infrastructure system availability and the elimination of unplanned downtime are more important than ever. But what if you could take advantage of an intelligent data platform that helps you speed applications, gain agility, and unlock insights to propel your business forward? Hello, and welcome to today's webcast titled, How an Intelligent Data Platform Can Unlock Agility and Innovation, brought to you by HPE, Zunesis, and IDG. I'm Barbara Call, Senior Director of Content Strategy and Operations at IDG, and I'll be your host and moderator for today's webcast. Joining me is Sundip Arora, Director for North America Storage Category Management at HPE. Sundip's current team owns, plans, and manages a category of storage products across their life cycle for the North America region. Welcome, Sundip.
Thank you for having me, Barbara.
Also joining me today is James Hughes, Vice President of Engineering and Services for Zunesis. James has more than 30 years of IT industry experience that includes software development, management of IT operations, building a technical services practice, and consulting on IT projects throughout the United States and Canada. Welcome, James.
Hey, Barbara, thank you. Pleasure to be here.
So let's start with telling our audience about some of the challenges your customers are facing and how an intelligent data platform is helping them. Sundip, let's start with you.
Thank you, Barbara, and thank you for having me once again. Let me start by saying what the Intelligent Data Platform by HPE is. What HPE delivers in the Intelligent Data Platform is really an AI-driven storage solution that prevents issues before they occur. The way it does that is by learning and adjusting in real time. The core of this platform was developed with a hybrid infrastructure in mind, which means that your data is accessible and usable across all cloud environments. So let's dive deeper into what challenges an IDP platform solves for our customers. If you think about the bottom layer on this slide, that is talking about workload optimized systems. And workload optimized systems are basically saying, listen, I'm building the right system for the right application workload. As you all know, not all applications and workloads are the same. It spans you from your mission-critical workload, your most important database-centric workload that helps you drive revenue for your company and businesses. It goes to general-purpose workloads like VDI and Exchange applications, secondary workloads where things need to be stored in a lot of capacity and density, and then also your big data and artificial intelligence workloads. What HPE has done is build custom solutions for platforms for these kind of workloads. And then on top of that, we've built a capability to have global intelligence engine driving the decision-making across all of our systems based on data that is being collected in real time. Now imagine billions and billions of data points collected from 100,000 systems across the world that are telling us things like the health of the system. We use that to do predictive analytics. We do workload fingerprinting to identify exactly the kind of issue that they may be experiencing. And then we apply that knowledge, or the global learning as we call it, across your specific platforms. What that gives us is the ability to predict and prevent issues before they happen. And that essentially is what our global intelligence engine or Infosight allows us to provide across every platform HPE has. And then at the top of that chart really points to what our customers see at the end of the day. What they see is applications and workloads that have pre-built automation connectors for things like Kubernetes and a variety of tools that your developers can deploy infrastructure as a code. At the end of the day, we were building underlying solutions to help with different kinds of people, such as VM admins or DevOps folks or data scientists, to be able to make their work easier, faster, and more efficient. And that's what I'd like to say as an IDP, and I'd love to understand, James, from your point of view, how you're able to deploy this within your customer base.
Well, this has become a really big topic for us. And, when you look at that top layer that you talked about, really, when we talk to our customers, they're not really specifying that they want this global intelligence, but you can hear it in the discussions that this is something that would be valuable. So when we show this to them and we show it in action, then the light bulb comes on and they're like, holy cow, this is exactly what we need. And, the key is to make sure that they see it in front of them so that they can really see what that value means to them. So, again, once they see it, it's become a big deal in all of the solutions that we've been providing.
Makes sense. And then maybe we can talk about what this global intelligence engine really is and what are the true operational benefits that our customers have from it. So what this is, as I mentioned before, is a product called HPE Infosight. Infosight is available, shipping for free with almost every HPE storage and beyond infrastructure product. And essentially it does three things. It allows your infrastructure to get more intelligent, essentially saying, listen, you will have fewer support cases, you'll have a faster time to resolution. As your infrastructure gets smarter, it'll get better and better and better. We've got over 100,000 systems connected to HPE Infosight, and that monitor things like availability, performance for your applications, so your applications can be optimized and working at their best available performance. Second thing is it simplifies your operations. It makes it completely effortless for you to be able to get deep visibility and eliminate any guesswork. Right? It allows you to create a recommendation that will help your applications better perform and then automate where that workload should be placed. And lastly, and I think this is the most important factor in play here, it transforms your experience as a user, by which I mean you enjoy an unmatched support experience, best in the industry, by using Infosight's advanced machine learning algorithms that protects every application. It predicts and prevents issues from happening. And in fact, it creates support tickets for you. And the proof is really in the pudding, isn't it? 86% of all issues that have ever, or support cases that have ever been opened for HPE infrastructure products through Infosight have been opened automatically with zero interaction by the user. Many times the users tell me, well, I didn't even know that was a problem. And before they know it, we have a patch delivered to them to fix something that they weren't even aware was going to be a problem. And I think that's the key here, is transforming our customers' lives, giving you cross-stack telemetry across not just storage, but going beyond storage into the application layer, down to the VM, going across the infrastructure stack into compute and into networking, and then truly providing you that differentiated impact through a much better support experience. James, what are your thoughts on Infosight and how your customers are transforming their support experience through this?
Well, it's really been a tremendous game changer, and especially as it has evolved. So when HPE first came to Infosight in 2018, 2017, I mean, the promise was that it was going to be evolving and improving, and man, has it ever. We had a situation where a customer a couple of weeks ago was having an issue, and we went to their Infosight with them and said, hey, look at that. There are some recommendations here. And the recommendations were specific right down to the volume. And as soon as the customer saw that, they knew exactly what was going on in their environment. In this case, it wasn't anything to do with any of the hardware infrastructure. It had something to do with an application that they had just deployed. But that kind of feedback is just invaluable.
And that's a really interesting point. Isn't that really true? 80% of the issues that you'll see in a data center are actually going to happen outside of your storage. And isn't it amazing that Infosight can actually pinpoint where the issue is, even if it's not really in the storage device? So I love that story. Thank you for sharing that, James.
Sure.
I think one of the things we want to talk about, and I'd love to get your input here, James, is how, beyond just primary storage, the solution that people are looking for, customers are looking for, is end-to-end. The ability not just to store their data, but to protect it against disruptions or ransomware. I'd love to see and hear how your customers are utilizing our overall infrastructure to protect their data.
Sure. Thanks, Sandeep. This goes back to what you talked about earlier, and it was on that bottom layer of that first slide. And you showed the data not only on-premise, but also to the edge and to the cloud. And so we hear so often now where our customers are really wanting to find ways to leverage the cloud, either for workloads or to protect their data. And, well, frankly, this is something that HPE has been doing for some time now. What we see here is a representation of how we've been protecting data and coming up with solutions for our customers to protect their data, which leverages a store once, which is a deduplication backup target in their environment. And they can use either HPE's RMC, or they can use their own backup software to target the store once, and then they can replicate that to the cloud in essentially a store once in the cloud. This is called HPE Cloud Bank Storage, and it allows them to follow the 3-2-1 rule. So they have 3 copies of data, 2 different types of media, and 1 off-site. And this was done, again, fairly early on. 2017 is, I believe, when the HPE Cloud Bank Store once came out. And it has allowed customers to very easily, without changing a lot of what they do, very easily get that data off-site. Now, if we fast forward to today, even that has evolved. While that is still in existence and still being used today, we now have HPE Cloud Volumes, HPE Cloud Volumes Block, and HPE Cloud Volumes Backup. And the Cloud Volumes Block allows customers to get data from a nimble array to the cloud and use that data, whether it's with AWS Compute or Azure or Google Cloud Platform. They can use that data in a test dev or maybe even a disaster recovery, but they can easily replicate that data from their on-prem to HPE Cloud Volumes Block. Or they could use their existing software that they're performing backups with today and specify the HPE Cloud Volumes service, in this case, HPE Cloud Volumes Backup, as another target. Again, they're not being asked to significantly change the way they're doing things. They're pointing at a resource in the cloud and very easily being able to extend that presence. And this has been a big deal for us, and we've been talking about it a lot with our clients.
Yeah, and when customers ask me, hey, why would I build a hybrid strategy when I could be 100% in a public cloud infrastructure or a private cloud infrastructure? I think the key point here is what we're giving our customers here is the ability to have a hybrid cloud strategy with having their data both on premises or off up in the public cloud, with bidirectional mobility for their data without, and here's the key, without having to incur any egress charges to move their data off a public cloud provider back down. To be able to cost optimize for different kind of workloads, to have the availability that Nimble has, and more importantly, to have that support experience that you heard us talk about is best in industry. So yes, I think all of those combined allow us to say a hybrid cloud option with HPE Cloud Volumes allows people to have essentially best of both the worlds.
And Sandeep, I'm not sure what your experience has been, but for us, those conversations, the conversations about having that intelligence and also being able to almost seamlessly leverage cloud resources, we're hearing that in the same conversations. I am curious to know whether or not this has been your experience too, or have those been separate conversations?
No, you're absolutely right, James. We hear that from our customers day in and day out. I think everybody is realizing that no one size fits all. You've got cloud-native applications that perhaps are born on the cloud and continue to be managed on the cloud, but you've got other applications that require our customers to transcend resources both in a local data center, a private data center, and a private cloud infrastructure, and a public cloud infrastructure. I think it's important for us to note that, listen, what we are doing is giving our customers the ability to have that seamless movement back and forth so that they can manage their data where it best belongs.
Yes, and then as we look at this slide that's in front of us here, the no lock-in is really, that's where we get the ahas from our customers, and that is, hey, if you're using AWS today and presenting volumes for test dev, for instance, and decide that you want to go to Azure later, well, you just repoint those volumes to Azure instead of AWS, and again, you're not paying any egress fees to make that happen.
Yeah, a lot of customers are using this as a way to get their feet wet with a public cloud hyperscaler as they're just starting up or getting accelerated on their cloud journey.
Okay. Thank you both. That was excellent. We do have some questions. So first up, in 2020, we saw an escalation in ransomware attacks across all industries. This is a problem that doesn't appear to be going away. What are you hearing from your clients? Sandeep, let's start with you.
Yeah, thanks, Barbara. So I think this is definitely a question I'd be really interested to hear from James's point of view, given that he's closer to the customers. But essentially, what we are hearing across a broad base of customers is that ransomware has become more of an issue than it ever has in the past. And not just the ability to prevent ransomware attacks, but more importantly, the ability to recover from them as these become more and more sophisticated. And having access to an end-to-end data management, data protection strategy that allows them to recover easily without getting trapped into some of the shortcomings of infrastructure in the past. What do you think, James?
I think that's absolutely right. And this is certainly a big priority for many of our customers. We've had customers who've experienced this in 2020, and of course we're reading almost on a daily basis about this happening. You know, we've always talked about protecting data and making sure that we're keeping data and the resources safe in the event of some disaster. The disasters, they usually came in the form of tornadoes or fires or earthquakes. But now we have this very unpredictable threat, but very real threat that can happen anywhere in any climate. And so customers are seeing this and they don't want to be the next one that gets hit. So having these kinds of tools, more like we just discussed with the HPE Cloud Volumes services and the Cloud Bank, these kinds of services available to help protect that data from ransomware has been really essential to conversations we're having with customers.
Okay, thank you, James. So I'll pose this question to you. How have your customers' storage needs evolved over the past 3 to 5 years? And what requirements are driving their expectations of a storage solution today?
Well, we've heard it now for many years, and that is that data stays with the storage. It's not going away. People don't get rid of it. Well, over the past 3 to 5 years, we've seen our customers start to use data. So they've never gotten rid of data, and they're starting to find ways to really use it, well, for analytics and to continue maintaining their business. And so the expectations of the storage has really evolved because we need to support the ever-changing workloads. We need to be able to support the analytics. And there have been some things that used to be features that were unique that are now common: snapshots, clones, replications, deduplication, compression. Those kinds of things have become expected these days. And so, we're happy to be able to provide that with just about any solution that HPE can provide.
Okay, thank you, James. Another question for you. Zunesis has partnered with HPE for many years. What's been the key to such a long-term relationship?
Really, it's the breadth of solutions. So we have storage, there's networking, there's compute, and frankly, in those instances where HPE may not have a specific solution, then the partnerships that they've created over the years have always brought those things in so that we can provide complete solutions to customers from end to end. So to fill the gaps for anything that there may be in storage or in networking and compute and everything in between to make those work, then the partnerships have really allowed us to continue providing seamless solutions for our customers. And that's what's kept us as a platinum partner with HPE for so many years.
All right, thank you. So looks like we have time for one more question. What is the true value of a hybrid cloud infrastructure versus all public cloud? Let's start with you, James.
Well, as Sandeep had said earlier, it really provides that best of both worlds. So they can have the on-premise cloud, and they can have components of their workloads up in a public cloud environment. So they can pick and choose, or they can move those workloads as needed back and forth rather than just having on-prem and maybe having some limitations for growth there. They can expand into a public cloud more easily if that is available to them and they've built the infrastructure to accommodate for that.
Sandeep, any thoughts to add?
Yeah, I think we've covered this topic in detail, but Barbara, if I may, I'm going to go back to just the last question you asked around how has the utilization of data and the expectation of data changed over time. I think that's a really insightful question. We've known now, as James mentioned, right, that the value of data is as good as essentially it's the new oil of the economy. But much like a barrel of oil sitting in your backyard doing nothing, data by itself won't have any intrinsic value till you do something with it. And what people have been doing now for decades is knowing that may happen, just storing tons and tons and reams of data. And not quite sure what we'll do with this, but I have a feeling this is going to become extremely valuable for us over time. And guess what? That's what's happened today, is that value of data, the fact that we can unlock insights that are hidden in the kinds of data that you've stored for years and years through things like artificial intelligence, operations, machine learning, real-time analytics, deep analytics to do research and development, to help in things like developing the vaccination right now for the pandemic, to create new customer experiences, new revenue streams even, right? New product ideas. All that is only possible because of the engine that drives that data. And that's what's different between how people utilize that data today versus 6-7 years prior, is that now you have the kinds of infrastructure like we have with HPE that is able to go deeper, faster, in a more intelligent way to help you unlock those insights.
Excellent. Thank you. So before we close, any last thoughts, James?
I don't have any. This has been a great conversation. I've enjoyed hearing from you, Sandeep, and having this conversation.
Yeah, likewise. Thank you so much for your time, and really great to be on this forum.
All right. Thank you both. That's all the time we have for today's webcast. I want to give a big thanks to our speakers, Sandeep Arora of HPE and James Hughes of Zunesis, for sharing their expertise and insights with us. And thanks especially to you, our viewers, for tuning in. Please be sure to check out the resources section on your console for more information. For HPE, Zunesis, and IDG, I'm Barbara Call.